I don't know about most of you, but I consider myself to be extremely lucky for growing up in an era where entertainment was mostly uncensored. And so we got some of the best shows out there. Whether it's TV shows like Spartacus, the first seasons of Game of Thrones, or movies like Conan the Barbarian that I grew up with, Terminator, RoboCop, just really, really brutal, like visceral movies with a lot of tits and violence. And then all the slasher films of my childhood. So I'm actually happy that I managed to grow up in a generation that could actually produce great works of art and entertainment. And they probably, learned a lot from the Greeks, because like Greek theater is all about Thanatos and Eros, which is pretty much tits and violence. And unfortunately, now we're in the dark age of entertainment, where I can't really name the last motion picture that was released. I can't really name a good TV show anymore. Even comedy things like South Park are starting to become meh. And we got the left to thank for that. The woke ideology that decided to sanitize everything, remove humor, remove anything that would titillate the straight white male senses and add more queerness. And so, for the last decade or so, that there hasn't been anything that I would consider worthwhile buying. It's been quite boring, thank God for AI, because like some people can make their own entertainment, but it's kind of sad, right? And so when I saw that the culture is shifting, when I saw that people are starting to boycott Bud Light, when I saw that Donald Trump is winning the elections, when I'm seeing woke movies failing, I was like, okay, well, finally, maybe, just maybe, we're going to remove the bureaucracy which prevents artistic creativity. And immediately, after, the culture has shifted, I noticed that people don't think we should remove the bureaucracy. People just think we should replace the bureaucracy. And the only difference is that there should be different censors in charge, right? Like the previous censors, they're not our guys. So let's get the guys from the other team as the censors. And so, I noticed it started with Melody Mac, when she went around and went like, ban porn. And you realize that it's kind of like a cultural astroturf thing, which is pushing for digital ID. And now you go on Twitter and even like the most non-lewd photos get censored. Like you have certain pictures that shouldn't be, and it's like over censorship over there. A lot of artists are struggling financially because the algorithm is suppressing them. So you notice that the wheels are turning into censoring things that weren't censored before. And I remember making the argument that's like, look, they're going to go after violence next, right? And by they, I mean the people behind the culture, like the ones that operate with NGOs or like people that have churches like the Mormons that constantly donate money in order to influence culture. Like they're going to start with pornography, they're going to expand it to erotica shit, and then they're going to go for violence. And the reason that I know is because I already lived in the 90s where they literally did that. And so I knew that it's coming, but I felt that at least we're going to get a couple of good years. At least maybe we'll get like 10 or 15 years and it's going to be glorious. And after that, you're going to get the censorship. But no, it seems that they're in a rush. And what I say by this is that YouTube will age restrict more content showing graphic violence. You gotta take into account that when a YouTube age restricts a video, it's dead. Like there's no YouTube age restricted video community. There's no people that share YouTube age restriction. It's like a kind of limbo where the video is almost community guideline strike, but it's kind of allowed to exist. Although you don't get any comment sections under it, you can't share it. And it's going to include extreme graphic violence that's fictional, right? Like it's going to include video games, it's going to include cartoons, like anything like that. And I want to point out, like many people will say, well, what's the big deal? You're over exaggerating. And it's like, okay, well, let's think about Jack Dorsey era Twitter. If you guys can remember it, or the censorship in 2020. Like it was insane, right? Jokes, memes, like everything that was sanitized would get banned. And that didn't happen overnight. Like, it wasn't like one day Twitter was fine and the next day you had censorship. It started like very easily. It became like, well, why do you have to say the N-word, right? Like, just censor the N-word. And then it was like, well, why do you have to share this type of racist meme? Like just don't share racist memes. And it went all the way up until you couldn't show news, right? Like the Biden laptop hunter story, like that got banned. Anything that disagreed with the COVID narrative would get banned. Like that's where the censorship ended up, right? Like it began with like very middle ground type of things that most people could agree with. It's like, okay, fine, don't say the N-word, right? That's what the moderates agreed to. And then it just escalated and escalated. And this is the exact same that you see here. It's like, it's going to start with like, okay, pornography banned. And most people are like, yeah, sure, like, why do you have to see pornography on Twitter? Like, that's fine. And then it goes to erotica. And then it goes to violence. And then, like, it's going to be, at first, it's going to be graphic violence, right? But then it's just going to be watered down. And it's going to eventually tackle the news. And we see this with Ofcom in the United Kingdom. Like, if you have a news article of police officers abusing their powers and beating people up, that's going to be flagged. And it's going to be, no, like, this is violence, you can't show it on social media. I guarantee to you, this is where it's going. And it's not just that, like, you gotta understand how annoying this is. When YouTube will say that they don't want to show graphic violence, what will happen is, like, game developers that are making video games and they want their game to actually be shown by streamers, they're going to have to put these regulations into effect, right? And they're going to be like, okay, well, we can't show this because then our streamers aren't going to be able to stream it. There's this video game called Ready or Not where you get to play as the head of a SWAT team. And they actually didn't get to be on the PlayStation because they couldn't get the correct ESRB rating, right? They got an adult rating for the game, even though it doesn't have pornography. And so the reason for this, like, you need to understand, is not because YouTube woke up one day and they said, oh yeah, you know, like, graphic violence is a problem. No, it's like advocacy groups working behind the scene. In this situation, I'm pretty sure that maybe right-wing groups, like as I mentioned before, you know, NGOs associated with the Church of Mormon, for instance, or they have like various other groups, like the NCOSE, right, the National Center of Sexual Exploitation. Like there's various NGOs that get donations in order to pull shit like this, and they're like constantly trying to censor art, pretty much, because like I don't really care about anything else. Like, this channel is about entertainment, right? So I generally want the West to make good entertainment so that we don't lag behind and my kids grow up with Chinese shit. Because, like, the Kose and the Mormon church doesn't have any influence with the Chinese. And when the Chinese put games on the market that are happening to be, like, more sexualized and more violent than the stuff West puts in, then people vote with their wallets. And it turns out that if you go on Steam right now, the top games on Steam are Chinese-made games. I'm not comfortable with that because I have faith that the West can make better games, but they're not allowed to, right? So, like, the West is self-sabotaging its own soft power, its own culture, and it's pretty fucking disturbing. So it's going to get worse. That's my take. You know, like, you're going to see in the upcoming months, like, more rules against violence, which, by the way, doesn't make any fucking sense, right? Like, there's absolutely no reason to censor graphic violence. Like, it's not illegal, right? There's no problem with it, especially if it's fictional, right? Like, okay, so we're not allowed to have escapism now, because we're going to assume and we're going to judge people who consume escapism for not consuming it because it's entertaining. They're consuming it because they're broken and unhinged, right? So when someone watches a gory video, like a slasher film or something like that, they're not watching it for escapism, they're watching it for premeditation purposes. Like, they're already insane, you know? And by the way, this was the argument in the 90s. And it seems that we're going to go back to that. Very disappointed, but I guess it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.